morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Hi, everyone.
Where is everyone calling in from? If you could drop it in the chat, let us know where you are.
Oh, wow.
Switzerland, the UK.
Amazing.
Oh,
Terrific.
Wales. Wow. Fairfax, Virginia. Germany. That's where I want to be right now.
a lot of UK. I'm actually going to be in the UK in a week and a half.
Oh,
Excited. We'll give it a few more moments for people to join and then we'll get started. But it's such a pleasure to have all of you here with us today.
Ariana, I love your picture. Space, 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 darling. You're welcome. I love a good picture on Zoom, guys. It's not easy to.
Oh, no worries, Paul.
it's chaos.
Yeah.
We know what that's like.
Absolutely. I've been living in chaos for 2 years since I bought my house.
Yeah, same.
Thanks, Abby, for coming on camera.
Abby Acevedo. That's my right hand, guys.
We love it. We love it. We give it about one more moment and then we'll begin.
If
feel
you
like
need
Yumi
anyone
is
to
a
run your
perfect
life,
case study.
please.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yumi, I was
If
just
you
saying,
need
you're the
anyone to
perfect
run your
case
life.
study and the energy to bring.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final part of our Disrupting Burnout webinar series about building resilience and accessing support. My name is Robert Rooney, and I am the Senior Director of Strategy and Operations at the Energy Project. For those of you who are not familiar with the Energy Project's work, we're an organization that teaches individuals, leaders, and organizations how to manage their energy and build resilience to fuel a state of high performance. Many of our clients come to us looking for solutions to increase the capacity of their employees, increase engagement, boost productivity, and sustain high performance. Our approach is science-based and leverages chemistry, psychology, and human physiology. We believe that people prioritize their well-being and they implement strategies that help them manage their energy. They're able to access their full potential and add more value as individual contributors, leaders, and increase their livelihood both in and out of the workplace, which leads us to today's session about building resilience and accessing support. I am joined by Myra Ringler, Yumi Jean-Francois, and Josh Siegel for today's session. Myra, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background in the space of energy management and wellness?
Thanks, Robert, and welcome to everybody who's here from all over the world. How exciting. I'm Myra Ringler, and I am a senior facilitator and coach with the Energy Project. And I have been working with the Energy Project for over a decade and been able to really see and understand how this work has tremendously had an impact for people at all levels in the organization as well as personally. And this is, as we know, it's no joke. This is really important work, energy management, and I am really happy to be here. I'm an executive coach and leadership consultant, and I am in San Francisco. Nice to meet you all.
Perfect. Yumi, can you give the group some of your background?
Of course I can. Hi, everybody. My name is Yumi Jean-Francois. I'm originally from Haiti, so it's Jean-Francois. I live part-time in New York City and Colombia, the country. I really love my life, which I keep telling everyone over and over. I have a background in the travel and wellness space. I'm the founder of Flex and Fly, a travel wellness company that provides stretching, meditation, and yoga classes at the airport. Our desire is to essentially take care of travelers that suffer from anxiety and their mental health. And I have a niece. She's new to this world, and I love her a lot. And Abby Acevedo is here. She's my right hand. And so if you need anyone to run your life, you should contact her. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. And Josh, how about you? Can you give us a bit about yourself?
Robert, how could you make me follow up Yumi? I'm normally like number one energy guy on a call, but with Yumi here, I'm feeling like I'm lower on the podium. I just can't match her energy. But good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global audience. Josh Siegel, Vice President of People at Seven Shifts. We're a restaurant scale-up tech company based out of Canada. I'm actually a multi-time energy project customer. So I discovered them when I was leading people at a different organization. And when I joined Seven Shifts, we're really focused on sustainable high performance. How do we accomplish things that are really hard, really challenging, and not burn and churn our people in the process of doing that? And the Energy Project was the first organization I called to embed the right philosophies and mindset into our leadership team around how we think about high performance. So really excited to be chatting with everyone here today.
Perfect. I can't express how grateful I am to have the three of you here with me today. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I know it's going to be a good one. Before we jump in, I'm going to do a quick poll to see who's attended either of the prior sessions. So we had the first session on understanding what your stressors and triggers are to define burnout. The second session was about taking ownership of your personal well-being. And then here we are, the final one. So we'll give it a few moments for people to answer, just so we can gauge where the group is. Ooh, a lot of first-time sessioners. Welcome. This is great. You chose a really good session today. Andrea, no worries. We are recording and we will be posting it on YouTube. The other two sessions should be posted, so you can always go back and watch it. Okay, let's end the poll. Just so you can see, most of you, this is your first session. You are in for a treat. So for those who've missed the previous sessions, in the first session, we explored the difference between stress and burnout. Burnout is a psychological state that is characterized by physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion, which is a byproduct of being exposed to chronic and prolonged stress or stressors. Some of the side effects of burnout include lack of focus, being more emotionally reactive, experiencing feelings of overwhelm or incapacity, fatigue. There are changes to your eating habits and a reduction in the motivation to do things that bring you joy. In the second session, we discussed how personal responsibility plays a pivotal role in managing burnout, as it empowers individuals to take charge of their well-being. When individuals understand their responsibility, they become proactive in recognizing and addressing the signs of burnout. By prioritizing self-care, setting boundaries, and practicing stress management techniques, individuals can prevent burnout from escalating and regain a sense of balance in their lives. In today's session, we're going to discuss the strategies for building resilience, what resources and support are available for managing burnout, and how to develop an action plan for preventing burnout. Myra, since you've worked with the Energy Project for many years, what do you think are some practical strategies or actions that individuals can do when they feel themselves heading toward burnout? And how does that differ when they are in a state of burnout? You did, yeah.
I think this is one of the keys that's really important, which is being proactive about not getting there. And so I would say that in the beginning, it's really important for us to really understand and be self-aware and tap into how we are feeling at any given time so that we can understand where our emotional state is and where we need to focus energy and time for ourselves. So that's a proactive strategy when we see that we might be headed in that direction. When we're already in it, again, we have to first notice, Tony Schwartz, who's the founder of our company, says all the time, we can't change what we don't notice. And I want to say that again, because it's such an important part of all of this. We can't change what we don't notice. And so the first thing we need to do is really start noticing for ourselves what's going on. And then we have to determine what's in our control. And I guess that would be the other part of what I would say is really understanding and thinking about what's in our control around making a change or shifting where we are right now. And sometimes that's easier than other times. And I would say the third point that I would just make about this is don't do this alone. You have a community of people, I'm guessing around you, either in your personal life or at work, where you, and I would also say this, my work with the Energy Project and just with leaders in general is you're not in this alone. So just remember, you can reach out for help and you need to do that because everybody can benefit.
Yeah, Mara, you brought up something really good where it's about taking that moment to figure out where you are. Anything that you could recommend to the people on the call about, a 5-minute strategy kind of check-in with themselves?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be 5 minutes. I mean, it can be even 1 minute. I'll tell people when we do these sessions and we'll do a minute of intentional breathing, just 1 minute of intentional breathing can clear most of the stress hormones like cortisol and other things out of your bloodstream. And so I'll even say, take an intentional bio break. Just walk away from whatever you're doing to just change channels. And that's another way we think about this at the Energy Project is how can we change channels? So if you've been sitting a long time, go stand up. If you've been inside for a while, go outside, get some fresh air. Move your body, as I'm sure Yumi is going to talk a lot about. And so these are the things that become particularly important as we're doing this. But even 1 minute of intentional breathing can help us shift our state.
Yeah. Josh, in your experiences, what have organizations done to help support their employees' well-being and really foster a culture of resilience?
Yeah, I really believe there's two components. There's an internal component, equipping the employee with the tools to have that self-awareness, to have really the permission to do the things that are right to optimize their energy across the various facets of energy. But then also as an organization, equipping leaders and teams with the language, the philosophy, and the space to have the conversation around these things. So a big part of educating our leaders is understand the science of energy. What does it mean? Why is it so important? How do we deploy it? And then find the moments in the day where you can drive accountability. So one thing for us at 7 Shifts, we do something every single week called an L10 meeting, where teams come together, talk about what's most important, and we start that meeting off with essentially an energy audit. Talk about something good and positive in your life. Where are you at? Put the emotionality on the table so we know what we're working with. That also then creates the space for the one-on-one conversations after the fact on, hey, saw you might not be showing up at 100%, want to get an understanding of what's going on. It allows managers to have those meaningful conversations to help people be accountable to do the things to maximize their energy and drive performance.
Yeah, amazing. Yumi, we've spoken briefly or a lot so far about the workspace and how individuals, build this resilience in a workspace. You've mentioned you love your life and you say you will shout that to everyone. What are some areas, outside of the workspace that, people can look to for support on their well-being?
Oh, so I really like a lot of the answers that everyone said, but for a second, I want everyone, wherever you are right now, so just close your eyes for 10 seconds.
Yes.
I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keeping your eyes closed. Unclench your jaw. Put your shoulders down. Take a deep breath in like you're smelling your favorite flower. Blow it out like you're blowing out a candle in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't see you blowing. Blow that candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly open your eyes. I think wherever you are in the world, it's important to get present, right? So many things in this world is always asking something of you. So whatever you are, whether it's at work, in your home, in your relationships, in a different country, it's so important that your peace and your connection goes back to you. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm always so clear to say I love my life is because I've been able to prioritize, right? I can't prioritize everyone and everything at the same time, and neither can you. And I think a lot of people ask that of us, right? Like, you got to make sure you got the job right. You got to do this right. You got to get that right. And then you start realizing, like, oh, I'm pouring from an empty cup. And we all know that we need to pour from the overflow, right? And not just from the cup itself. And so one of the importance of being able to find outside joy is actually knowing what still brings you joy. What is it that makes you smile, right? Where do you go that you feel like you can breathe? Where do you go that makes you feel like you don't have to rush, right? For some people, it may be meditating. For some people, it may be leaving the country. For some people, it may be writing. For some people, it may be their job because their home is too much. Whatever that is for you, it has to be real and it has to be consistent. And so for me, how do we get real? How do I know, like, how do I make my job not be the real thing for me? I have to be present. How am I breathing when I'm around certain people? Am I anxious? Am I always like, oh my God, I can't count the time enough? How is my spirit? Is it low? How's my vibration? Is it high? You have to be connected to who you authentically are to show up for other people. And if you're unable to show up for other people, it's because you're not tapping in. And so for me, it's not a matter of place, it's a matter of being. So what does that look like for you? And that's where we'd start.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Yumi. I definitely needed that 10-second of breathing and of unclenching my jaw. So Josh, you mentioned your L10. That's something that you brought to the organization, or is that something that was already in practice? And if so, how is it going? Tell us a bit about like that resource itself.
So the structure itself was already in the organization, but then we recognized it was a beautiful structure to embed some of the philosophies around energy management, emotions, and all of that because it was already in place. So it didn't require a massive amount of change. There was no new time expectations on our employees. It was a meeting you already have, and we're going to carve out 1 minute to talk about something really important, which is our energy level and how we're showing up at work. And to Yumi's exercise that she just did, it's a beautiful example of the impact 1 minute can have. All it takes is intentionality and thoughtfulness, and you get an amazing opportunity to reset, renew, galvanize your energy for what's next, and show up as the best version of you. We're not talking about massive life change here. We're just talking about what can you do in 1 minute to galvanize your energy and pull you away from that burnout zone. And so creating that space for employees to have those conversations, to understand that they're important, that's been the biggest difference maker as we've embedded the philosophies into our organization here at 7 Shifts.
Amazing. Yumi, you started Flex and Fly because you love to travel. That's an example of a great external resource that's found outside of the workplace to help with managing, people who may be stressed. Can you tell us a bit about some of the other things that people can look for, outside of a workplace to help with managing either stress or burnout?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the tricks that I personally have that I think everyone should be doing, that many people do not do, is listen to music that makes you move your body. So, no matter what, every single day I wake up, I dance for 10 minutes a day. My preference of music is Afro beats, something that is improper, that makes me move my hips and just get all the energy out. But that's just me. You can absolutely just tap your fingers if you're that type of person, just snap them. But being able to move your body releases a lot of energy. And I think a lot of people are so used to getting out of bed, doing a quick stretch, and going. And if you decide, anytime you take the moment to decide to move your body, you're honoring it. It is your biggest engine. It's not the car, it's your body. And so I would say moving your body for 10 minutes a day, whatever your music is, girl, you can sing out loud, do whatever it is, you will see a difference. Another example is, of course, we have the usuals, right? You can go to take a yoga class, meditation class, but what makes you feel alive for some people is going to a concert. There's been a lot of concerts out there, for people to experience, especially during the summer times, right? Go listen to some music that actually lifts up your vibration, that gets you to put yourself out of your comfort zone and meet new people. Because there's always someone you can meet that can pour into you rather than take from you. Yes, some people, for me as well, I swim all the time. Girl, that's why I'm in Colombia. Water, water, water. So going to swim is like ideal. It's also a major workout that I feel like enough people do not do enough. But one of my other favorites outside of all those things is actually outside of writing, like journaling, being able to sit for a second and script your life. So if your life doesn't look like what you prefer it to look like, and I'm one of those people that dare to believe that we have the power to change our lives yet. Of course, we know that many of us are privileged to be able to do that. I'm from Haiti. And so the idea of the life that I live now wasn't possible for me for a very long time. I learned to script my life in a way that taught me that, you know, if I employ patience, and I employ kindness and consistency in my life, I can see a change. And so scripting takes you from a place where you're not asking the world or the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, for something. You are writing from a place where you already have it. So if you go and you lift your vibration, you sit down and you start writing about whether it's a job you want, if you want a new relationship, if you want children, if you want no children, if you want to just stay away from everybody, whatever it is that you want, you can script your life and leave it as that. But you must do it in a high vibration. And I think a lot of people don't do that because they're afraid to do that because they don't want to, like fake their life. But there's nothing about faking your life. You have to choose the life that you want. And scripting helps you do that.
Amazing. Myra, we've spoken about some resources that, Josh has, some external the resources. What are we missing? What resources should we be requesting from, work or from the people in our lives? How do we truly build a support system around us?
So this has been such a great conversation, and I'm just loving the ideas and strategies here. I want to come back to just a few things that we know, especially from the energy project work and the research that's out there, that really are some grounding components here. One is sleep. We are going to be our best people if we are getting proper amounts of sleep. And I recognize that there are people that just have sleep issues, whether it's around sleep apnea or snoring or insomnia, or the person they're with snores, or they're up with babies. And there's other things that are just detracting from their sleep. And yet something that we really have to focus on is trying to get a good night's sleep, because when we do that, we're fresh, we're able to tackle the world, and it's really important. So that's one thing that is really, I think, and there's a lot of research out there now that bears out at least 7 hours of sleep is really important, which for many of us is like, oh, no way, I can't do that, right? The other component that I think is really important here that I just want to come back to is this idea of taking breaks during the day. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an important part of how we are able to sustain high performance across the day. And the research totally bears this out, that if we just go straight through, we are going to go like this across the day. We are just going to decline. If we, about every 90 minutes, the research bears out that about every 90 minutes, we need to take some sort of a break. If we are doing that across our day, we're still going to decline, but we do a little bit of a wave as we decline. And when we get to the end of our day, we're not as depleted as we would be if we didn't take those breaks. So I just really want to say that the breaks are also super important. And, you know, we work with companies a lot where it's back-to-back meetings. I get it. Like, you are running back to back and there isn't time. And what's in your control here? If you want to be high performing, you need to make sure that you are doing that for yourself. It is not a badge of honor to say, I worked all day and didn't take a break. Right. It is not a badge of honor to say, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, but I'm ready to go. I think we really have to change that paradigm in our lives and in the corporate world as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mari, you brought up a lot of our foundational principles, especially renewal. How do you think individuals can put more pressure on their organization to allow them the space to take those, breaks every 90 minutes or, a break, especially in between these back-to-back meetings that people get put on their calendar?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It requires a deep breath. I think that I really believe it has to start with self-leadership, because that's the only place it really can start. And then also influencing the leaders around you. And, one way to do it is what Josh is doing, is just every meeting, at a beginning of a meeting, do an icebreaker. Do what Yumi did and do a 30-second or 45-second just get present thing. Like, incorporate that into a meeting, because that is a form of a break. So that is very much in your power, especially if you are running the meeting. Just build it in at the beginning, and maybe it will start to take off, or ask your other colleagues to do that. So that's one way that I think is quite actionable quickly to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, as a longtime energy project consumer, what are some of the struggles you've seen or some hesitations from the people that you've tried to bring the work to? And then have you seen the kind of mindset shift once they get it going?
I think it's like any change management, right? We fall back into our most basic habits. We have our operating systems. We know what they are. We've been doing them our entire lives. We're asking people to philosophically think differently. We've had this hustle and grind culture for so long, where it was a badge of honor to work 14, 15, 16-hour days. And I made it through. Look at me. Congrats. Pat on the back. Give me the gold.
And with a commute, right, Josh?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, beyond ridiculous. And so shifting mindsets and helping people understand, and I love some of the energy project language around this, we're going to operate like sprinters, not marathon runners, where we're going to do something really freaking hard for a defined period of time, and then we need to recuperate, and we need to let our muscles heal and our breath. Everything in life has a pulse and a rhythm, and we respect it. We respect our heartbeat. We respect our breath. We respect our pulse. We respect day, night, but we don't respect our energy rhythms. We get tired and we're like, oh, I'll power through. I'll get a cup of coffee. What's wrong with me? Why can't I keep operating at this high level? There's nothing wrong with you. You're just not listening to your ultradian rhythm, which is science. It's your energy. And so helping to educate leaders in the organization, send them a book. The Way We're Working Isn't Working by Tony Schwartz. It's an amazing read. It helps ground these practices in real world case studies and showcase if we want a different way of working, if we want sustainable high performance, we can't just work in the way we used to. It fundamentally makes no sense. There's a new paradigm here, requires change management, requires practice. Let's try it out, see the results, and then continue to drive it because you're going to get the results you want because it's grounded in science.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back, if I can just add to that, it just goes back to the conditioning, right? Like we're conditioned to keep going. We're not conditioned to pause or stop. Many people are uncomfortable with just being still. Stillness is a problem for many people. And the idea of either meditation or rest has to be earned, rather it is a birthright, right? So you have a lot of people walking around just trying to gain the right to rest, which is quite problematic because by the time that they get there, it's already too late. That's why burnout is so heavy and so many different communities in addition to workspaces. Many people are constantly working on just trying to get to the next step, idolizing the next thing that we're not even able to breathe properly to get there. And so when you look at people and they're like acting out, not giving enough time for you, or prioritizing what you may feel is the wrong thing, is because we've been conditioned for so long to choose what will validate us later, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh, you mentioned practice. Yumi, you mentioned conditioning. It's important to think about how we then take all of these things and develop an action plan for when we see ourselves moving toward burnout, or if we're in burnout, what does it look like to get us out, and what do we need around us? We know everything that we do, we can't do it alone, right? We need a sense of community. Yumi, what do you think individuals can do to develop an effective plan to preventing burnout in their personal lives?
Yeah, so, for most people that know me, I disappear at the top of the year, like every single year. I have a tradition where I wake up in a different country every new year. I've been doing it for 14 years, and I try to take the month. I've been privileged to get to a place in my life where I get to take the month of January as mine before the world tried to take me for the rest of the months. And so I try to just disappear and go learn. And the way that I learn is through travel. And I've been able to meet other people, and they pour into me in such beautiful ways through their culture that it changes my mindset. I'd like to say in America, I mean, it's no lie, the way we treat each other, whether it's in workspaces or ourselves when we're alone, is quite problematic, right? And when you go to different countries, you realize how much rest, family time, you time matters in the development of an individual, the full development, because I think many of us are operating in a half version of ourselves because we're not able to fully be who we truly believe that we are. And so for me, one of the things that I do is I travel because it's my favorite form of learning, and it's my favorite teacher. And I think many people would love to travel. And so, and you may not be able to disappear to a different country every new year, but you can take a weekend. You can go to take a drive, 30 to 45 minutes or even an hour away, or at least for me, I live in New York, so I take the train, the Metro North, I take whatever I have to do and just go see a different town, learn from people in that form of way. I think many of us don't have habits We have things we have to do. So what are your habits? What is actually a habit that you do that you really enjoy? Some people love reading, some people love swimming, some people love exercising, but at the same time, exercising has been a way where people actually also, it's a big part of their mental health, right? And so what are some habits that you have? Have you ever sat down and be like, you know what? I actually really enjoy this and I want to do this as much as I can because it's something I enjoy. I don't have to make money off of it. I don't have to like prove myself for it. It's just something I enjoy. So I think habits are another way of you finding a way to prevent burnouts, that you always have that something for you.
Yeah. Josh, when you think about the workplace, what is a great, way that an individual can develop an action plan to help them prevent burnout while at work?
Yeah, so Yumi talked about some big things, right? Like travel requires money, time, and definitely you need to carve that out and do that. There's some really small things you can do as well, though. So I mentioned in the chat, Google Speedy Meetings. We've made that a requirement at our organization. 30-minute meetings default to 25 minutes, 60 to 50. And we hold people accountable to not being like, oh, no, let's just take that extra 5 minutes. We'll continue the conversation. No, no, no. That is renewal time. I need that to stand up, to mentally prepare for my next meeting, to fill up my water bottle, to pet my dog, whatever it is, these small things that help my energy, either physically, emotionally, mentally. And we have that time set aside from something as simple as clicking a box in our calendar that says enable speedy meetings. Small example. Another one, we think about the ebbs and flows throughout the week. So at 7 Shifts, we do something called No Meeting Wednesdays. It's an opportunity to do focused, head down work, eliminate the distractions of the back-to-back-to-back meetings. It gives us that ebb and flow in the middle of the week as well to be able to recharge our energy and not have that emotional drain of having to constantly interact in meetings. Small little nuances, small little policies, huge impact on energy management that drives performance.
Yeah, I
And
gotta try that.
Myra, how can organizations encourage and support employees in developing their burnout prevention strategies?
That's a great question. And I think, again, this is about influence at every level. And it is about putting it back to this idea of high performance. Your organizations want you to perform. They want you to be your best. They want you to bring creative ideas. The only way you're going to do that and do it in a sustainable way is if you are doing what we're talking about, taking breaks across the day, connecting with people, and doing the icebreaker check-in, for as an example, that people might see as a nice to have, not a need to have. Well, let's realize that this actually is a need to have, because connection and community create more better ideas. And so I think that's one piece, is just how can you be an influencer within your organization. I did want to share just quickly this site that is put in the chat. It's an easy way. So this chat just creates a question for you that you can put at the beginning of a meeting, and it's just like a random question. So that's just something fun to do. I'll also say that one of the things that the Energy Project really has embraced, and I know many organizations have embraced because of the Energy Project, is the idea of a community meeting. And this is a very quick and easy way at the beginning of a meeting to just ask people the question, how are you feeling right now? And one of the guidelines of this very quick check-in is good, great, fine, and okay do not apply, because they are not emotions. And they are also default ways that we say, well, I'm okay. I'm just going to say I'm fine, right? Even though I might not be fine. So this is about how can we also quickly tap into how we are feeling in any given moment and time. And just very quickly, we as human beings have this amazing capacity to hold both positive and negative emotions at the same time. And
Yeah.
it's okay to call it out. So it's okay to say, I am feeling optimistic and overwhelmed. And that's all right. And so I think that we need to really make sure that we are doing that both for ourselves and also sharing that within organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I did want to ask another poll question as we come close to the end. And where do you think you need more support in your life? Is it in your personal life or is it in your professional life? Because as the conversation has developed today, we've really spoken about being able to check in with yourself, and that is the basis for what you then need to do, right? So by having that understanding and high level view of where you are, you're then able to take the steps to course correct or ask for help or ask for support or put more back on the organization to say, this is what we need to do, or put more back in your personal life and say, I need more boundaries or I need more renewal personally. So we'll give it a few more moments for people to answer. But it's looking like a pretty close split between personal and professional.
Um,
Personal is taking control. So about 62% said they need more support in their personal lives. So hopefully you've taken something from this conversation on what you can do to start, building resilience and access and support in your personal lives or at work. So I empower all of you to do some reflection in both your personal and professional lives to see how you can start building the support network needed to prevent burnout. Myra, Yumi, Josh, thank you so much for your insight today on how individuals can build resilience and access support. I also want to say thank you to everyone else who has joined from around the world. I truly hope you have gotten something out of this. If you're interested in learning any more about the Energy Project and about what we can do to help support your team or organization, please visit us at theenergyproject.com. I'm also going to drop the link in the chat if you need. We do have a few moments for a Q&A. So if you want to, feel free to come off of your camera, come off of mute, and ask any questions. Feel free to do so.
I did want to say, if no one has a question yet, before anyone come, me recognizing that a lot of people saying that the personal aspect of support, I know Myra mentioned this earlier, but I just want to say it again. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for what you need. Ask for what you need. And so for high performing individuals or people that often have to do things by themselves or are the strong ones in their friendships or the family or etc., when you're the one always carrying, it's really uncomfortable to ask for what you need sometimes because you're always the one people take from, and you're actually kind of proud of that after a while. You're like, well, people can count on me. But healthy relationships have reciprocity, right? It's okay to say, hey, I'm not okay today. And I'm seeing that it's affecting my work. Do you have any recommendations or anything to help me get into the space that I don't fully understand that I'm in? The courage to ask is something that I feel like many people don't exercise enough. So I would highly suggest that you pick up courage, because Courage comes before confidence, right? So pick up courage and then ask for what you need. And I promise you, people will show up for you.
Yumi, beyond the courage, I think sometimes we don't even know what to ask.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, that's been what's so powerful about the science of the energy project. It grounds this in a way where I can understand where I'm at, put some language behind it, and have meaningful asks of either my peers and colleagues at work or my friends and family in my personal life. So understanding the science, the language, what it means, and sharing that with people in your network, it makes it so much easier to put out those asks because you can frame them in a way that everyone understands.
I'll build on that, Josh, because I think one of the things that you have to have the language, which is in organizations, having that common language becomes really important because then it becomes okay for me to say, what, I'm not having a good day. I'm feeling overwhelmed, or, that meeting really irritated me, or whatever it is, right? And being able to call that out. One of the things you put in the chat, which of course is part of the Energy Project, is this idea of 4 dimensions of energy. And being able to also then use the language of, physically, I'm not at my best today, or mentally, I'm feeling really distracted, or, emotionally, I am really
fragile,
whatever it might be, right? And then spiritual, of course, is purpose and meaning. So all of these things, like being able to even ground it in some of that, can be helpful. Deborah, you have a question?
Yes, hi. I loving this exchange. It's so important. And I work a lot with my clients around managing your energy, not your time. And I loved the strategies, and also really being self-accountable for your own well-being. But at the same time, if you're in a work environment that is, it doesn't have that lingo at all, and it really is about bottom line, and the pressures coming from above, how can, where is the space, and how can you, there was somebody who mentioned fostering a culture of resilience. But so if if I'm talking like huge corporations now. And I do work in bubbles, because we all know that the fish rots at the head, but often the head is so lofty that they are inaccessible. So what do you advise for bubbles? So for pockets of within an organization, when outside, there's no room or any psychologically safe space to have this sort of exchange.
Josh, you want to take this?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. So I think it's really important to control what you can control and not get pulled down by factors that are well outside of your control. So if you're in a 10,000 person organization, shifting culture, driving change, any of that stuff, I don't care who you are, fundamentally impossible. You are not going to be able to do that on your own. So understanding what areas of the org do you have influence, where do you have control, and where can you just start small? So maybe you have a team of 4 to 5 people, and it's like, hey team, when we book meetings, we're going to use Google Speedy Meetings. We're going to do our best to appreciate, respect them, and understand them. Here's why. Let's do it where we can. Try to educate others where we can, but not do things because we can't do them across 10,000 people. I'm a huge proponent that you can drive change in a culture and organization through middle management. So who are your peers that you can connect with, share the science, share the pain points, share the frustrations, and maybe you can get a multitude of different bubbles and pockets starting to be the change. It's not easy. It takes time. You'll get frustrations and pushback, but just keep controlling what you can control, do the right things, and you will build momentum over time.
The other thing I'll add to that is setting boundaries and being very clear about your own boundaries in terms of what is acceptable, what isn't, first and foremost, but also what is realistic and what isn't. for you to really be at your best. And again, as Josh said, this is not easy.
Right.
It takes courage, to Yumi's point. It takes confidence. And I will challenge each one of you to test the assumption of it, because it works. And we need to do it more in our lives, both personally and professionally. The idea of setting boundaries is something that is really, truly fulfilling and empowering. So.
Yeah, I would finally add to it, Deborah. I would say that, when something consistently bother you, and you can see that it starts at the top, it can also create a lot of stress for you as an individual. And you just feel like, why even start, or why even begin, because it's not gonna go anywhere, type of thing. So I think Joshua's idea of starting small and being consistent is something that you should consider pursuing, because it's in the little drops of the water that the rock changes, right? So even though it's a really heavy rock, and it's making you feel a lot of ways, and your feelings are completely valid, you're right, don't stop dropping that water on that rock. And eventually, you may be the person that's the seed, but everyone else will water it so that you can get the tree that you want. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank
Go
you
for
so
it.
much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Deborah.
Maybe one comment also to Deborah. You know the old words, love it, change it, or leave it. I would say at the end of the day, when you're not happy and when you feel not comfortable, leave. It's very important to look for the right environment. Everybody has own strengths and can do a lot of things. But if you are at the wrong environment, change it. I think that's maybe the last option, but I wouldn't exclude it. So maybe as a small advice or hint from my side.
That was great advice.
It's a wonderful point. And one of the things we have to remember is that we are always at choice. So even choosing to not do something is a choice. And choosing to stay in an environment that's either toxic or isn't serving us or doesn't serve our values or isn't using our best self at work, these are all ways, Simon, that we need to be at choice in our lives. So I couldn't agree more.
Yes, Simon, that was great. Leave. I love that.
It's the last option, of course.
The last option, yeah.
If you can't change it, then look for other opportunities. Yeah.
We have a few more moments if anyone has any last minute burning questions or comments.
All right.
Okay. I think we are done. Once again, thank you, Myra, Yumi, and Josh. And then thank you to everybody else who joined today's sessions. If you're looking for the link to our previous sessions, you can go to our website under solutions. You'll see featured programs, and Disrupting Burnout is listed there. I can actually just grab the link while I'm here. Boop. Dropped it in the chat. You can go there, you'll see the other sessions, and then it'll link you to the YouTube recordings for them. Give this one a few hours and it'll also be posted there. So feel free to share it with anybody who could find it useful.
Thank you all for your participation and desire to want to improve your energy management. It is incremental and intentional, and I think those are really important things to think about.